For activity 5, one of the tools that I looked at is a website called ExitTicket, and this just allows you to make electronic exit tickets. In the past, when I've made exit tickets, I've put a PowerPoint slide up and given students a quarter sheet of paper. Then I have to collect those quarter sheets of paper and sort through them and figure out who knows it and who doesn't. So I thought this would save me some time. I'm going to log into my account. So this is the home page, which to me at first and still is overwhelming for what I want to do. All I want to do is ask an exit question. I think there are a lot of options here. They're kind of all spread out. I still don't know where everything is. So that I think is one of the cons, is this is probably more complicated than it needs to be. There are definite pros to it as well. So I'm going to show you some of those as I go through and make a new assessment. So up here you can click on new assessment. There are 4 different categories. This is just for you if you wanted to assign things differently. I just plan to use exit tickets, so that's what I'm going to choose. One of the other things that I was confused by when I first did this was I expected to write a question. And instead I got this with all these different options. So I started with my assessment title. We're going to balance equations. And then I have to decide about options. What do I want to do? Do I want to time it? Do I want to show the answer? I don't want to show them the answer, but I do want them to know if they got it right or wrong. Results page, you can randomize your question if it's multiple choice. One of the other pros to this program is you can change the publish date. So I could put this out into September if we're going to do this on September 19th. So you could write all of your exit questions for a unit at one time, which would save a lot of time. Instead of having to go in every single day and write an exit question, you could just get them all done. Down here is where you choose who's going to do this. So I've put in all my classes for the fall, plus this tech camp class. I'm going to assign it to tech camp. Now, the other thing that I found confusing was I've decided to assign it to tech camp, but you can't see it. The default option is hidden. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. You have to click on this so that it is visible. I want you to be able to see this question. So those are the options. Now I have to actually write the question. When I first did this, I hit save and then didn't know what to do because I didn't even notice this little question tab. So to write your question, you have to go to the question tab, and then you're going to add a question. I am going to do a free response question. And this descriptive title tag is just for me so I can search later. So I'm going to do chemical reactions. Down here is where you're actually going to write the question. Now, one of the problems that I think math and science teachers run into with some of these different Google add-ons and just using Google in general is they are not set up very well for things like chemical formulas or equations. There was no way for me to change a chemical formula so it doesn't look like this. I want to make this as a subscript until I found this little button, this paste from Word. So I can go to Word where I have my question. I can copy it. I can paste here. And when I insert it, other than the arrow, which it doesn't seem to like, now I get my little subscripted numbers. So this, I think, is a great feature to this program because it looks like chemical equations that students are used to seeing. Now, the first few times I did this, and the first few times I actually recorded this video, I hit save and then tried to close it, and it wouldn't let me because it said I hadn't put in an answer. You have to scroll down through this giant box, and that's where you put in your answer. This is not the correct answer. Ignore the numbers. But you actually have to go down and put in your answer down here. And it took me a while to find that. I can click on preview and see my question. The question looks good. If I go back to overview, I've assigned it to my students. I've assigned it in September. Looks good. I'm going to save and close. So I've written that exit question. Now, one of the other things that I found to be a great tool to this was if you go to calendar, and I've flipped through, you can see all the questions that I've written. So you don't necessarily need to remember the title of it and what it is. You could just match up the date. So if you did an entire unit's worth of exit questions, they would all be in here. So I thought that was super helpful. If you click on it, if students had done this, you could see how many students had gotten it correct and how many students had gotten it incorrect. I think there are probably many more things to this, but without having a whole bunch of student responses here, I think I'll have to wait to play around with it. I think it's going to save me a lot of time. It's just the many features are a little overwhelming, and I still am kind of trying to figure it out, but I think it could definitely help people out with exit tickets, especially if you had your Chromebooks out and students were working on them anyway. This would be a really good way to wrap up class.